Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mrs. Maroney?
Here.
Mrs. Peng?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Mrs. Conway?
Here.
Dr. Chen?
Here.
All present by Mr. Errico.
Opening statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or asked about. In accordance with with the provision of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger on January 3rd, 2019. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So, first we have we have a meeting minutes for the April 25th meeting minutes. So if any board members have any questions, you can ask Mr. Michaud. Then normally we don't vote on resolutions, but today it's a little bit special. We're going to vote a resolution on the caucus meeting. So Dan, you want to introduce the resolution first?
Yeah. Ordinarily, we don't take public action at a caucus meeting. However, because of the fact we want to move this Woodrow Wilson modular classroom addition forward, and I want to get competitive proposals. Right now, we have one from one company that has a federal cooperative with Keystone Purchasing Network. However, there's another company that also has another federal federal cooperative purchasing opportunity. Except we're not part. We have participated. The board has to approve participation. It's actually called the HG, which is Houston Galveston. The actual purchasing cooperative is called the Houston Galveston Area Council, and it's a federal cooperative that this other company could give me a proposal, but I can't do it if we don't participate in this cooperative. So tonight, because I need 2 days after we approve it, it takes 2 days to get enrolled with them, and I want a proposal. I'd like to be able to approve one of these two companies on Monday, because we want to have these modular customers done in September. And if we wait till April, we won't have them ready in September. We really need them at Woodrow Wilson. We're really overcrowded, and this would help us move it along. So that's the reason why we need to approve it tonight.
Okay, and plus it costs us nothing.
That's correct. There's no cost to the district at all.
Yeah. So now I'm going to open up for public on comments for that resolutions only. That resolutions only to join the federal cooperative. See none? Okay. We're going to vote on this resolution. All right. Can I have a motion? Okay. Mrs. Conway, Mrs. Maroney.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Now we'll move on to administrative reports. Superintendent, Superintendent's report. So, Mr. Saxon.
Thank you. I hope everyone would join me in wishing our board president a happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
How old are you, Jerry?
25.
Again.
I made him show me his license, and it's a confirmation it's his birthday. Last night was kind of disappointing, and it refers to the first item on the agenda, S&P Architects. If any of the 5 people that were there are here this evening, thank you. I think you'll agree with me. It was a fantastic, robust presentation. Every piece of data that you can imagine was in there. I don't think you left there with any unanswered question. They really did, or Gene really did a nice job. It's disappointing. This was the concluding meeting of the overcrowding group that started, I think, even before last year. I know when I came here, I attended 3 meetings. Last night was one of which. But before that, they had 3 meetings. And there were a total, I believe, of 80 people the first time. I made sure invitations were sent out to the 80 people. Unfortunately, the response kind of dissipated with each each oncoming meeting. So we started with 80, and I think we ended it with 5 or 6, and that's not counting staff that was there. But it's disappointing because we want to get the information out to people. We want to get the information out to establish the need, the process we used to resolve the problem, which included a lot of the input that came from that overcrowding committee. We made sure that their voices were heard and that information was placed in that report. So you'll have an opportunity to go online. The report's readily available for everyone to review. It's a 29-page report. It's very comprehensive. After you read that report, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call the office. You can call my office or call Dave, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with any information that you may have. Item number 2, the 1920 budget hearing is scheduled for May 6, 2019 at 7 o'clock. And the reason why questions aren't taken tonight, because this is a preliminary budget we're voting on. It has to go to the county superintendent's office for review and approval, then come back to our public meeting, at which we will give notification to everyone that you may come to that meeting, encourage you to come to that meeting and ask questions, if you care to, regarding the budget presentation. The school calendar. The school calendar continues to be a challenge. Every time you put the school calendar down, there's always last-minute input. You don't want to discourage everyone, but yet again, it's impossible to make everyone happy. So I asked the president tonight if we could table it and still give more opportunity for input, but I'm not going to take it beyond the next public meeting. So you'll have a final chance for input. I welcome your input. Just don't give me too many questions with it. It just confuses things. National Autism Awareness Month is this month. I think it's incredible if you look at the website and see the amount of activities that each of our schools are doing to recognize National Autism Month. Take an opportunity to go to the website, check out the activities at the different school. I think you two will be impressed with it as well. We have our food service group is leaving. Tonight, the Board of Education had its 3rd meeting with a food service group because we're constantly looking to make sure that we have the best available product for our kids. Not only taste, but also in terms of the price. We had a great presentation tonight. We're all full. They did an excellent job in terms of preparation, and I think the board has to deliberate after this particular meeting, along with the committee, and get a report for them regarding their final findings. Under the harassment, intimidation, bullying, we had, I think there was only one account that rose to the level of bullying. The others were basically handled through our code of discipline. Our NJSLA testing schedule, this is spring 2019. That would be available in the handouts. Item number B, revised grouping procedures. I think Debbie Gulluck wants to respond to that, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
We have a brief presentation about the grouping procedures. Mr. McDonald's bringing it up right now. So I'll try to answer your questions. As you may know, the grouping procedures were proposed in January, approved in February, and since approval, we've received additional data and some input from people, and we really have the opportunity to forecast what our procedures are going to look like and where students will be placed. And so on the, in front of everyone tonight are additional revised grouping procedures. We've met for many times to be able to do that analysis. So the goals of the district when we're placing students, particularly in 8th to 9th, is that we want all students to be engaged in rigorous course content. And we have a mission here in the district to increase access to honors level coursework. The board took on that mission about 5 years ago, and we've been meeting it with great success, so that each year we have more and more students that are able to take honors level courses. As you may recall, we abandoned our commitment with iReady last year, so we needed to find a replacement, and so there's some new testing procedures that are involved. And of course, when you look at the data, what we forecasted the data might say and what the data actually said were two different things, and so the revised grouping procedures reflect our commitment to these goals. So these are the changes that we experienced last year: the elimination of iReady at the middle schools, the administration of the PSAT 8-9 to our grade 8 students. It's important to note that that's not the PSAT. This is a relatively new test. It's only about 4 years old, 5 years old. It's been met with some success. It's nationally normed. It's a good predictor of success on the PSAT, but it is not the PSAT nor the SAT. It is an 8th, 9th grade test. And then we have a Link It. Link It is a delivery system, an online delivery system, which locks down assessments. And so we're using that to administer our district assessments that are aligned with benchmarks, aligned with standards that we own, are being administered through Link It. So that was all new. So since all of that was new, we wanted to make sure that the procedure itself looked as much like last year as it did before. One of the things that the Curriculum and Technology Committee was committed to and requested is to make sure that the PSAT 8-9 was worth no more points than the iReady was worth, that our district assessment was worth the same. So we've gone back and we've looked at all of these this grouping over and over again. So after receiving a lot of the feedback and after receiving the actual PSAT 8-9 scores, we were able to go back to what is originally posted right now and revise that. You will see that the commitment that we have tonight increases the number of students who will be included in honors. As many as last year, in some cases more, and definitely more than would be in based on the posted procedures at this time. So here's the specific changes. We made 2 specific changes, and that was it both for science and for English. So in science, the biology honors placement now requires a placement in math honors, and that's because of future coursework, and very important, either placement in English 9 honors or a PSAT 8-9 score of 530. So a PSAT 8-9 score of 530 captures the top 11% of all students nationally. That's about 35% of our students scored a 530 or higher. And so that will open up plenty of students to be able to take biology honors. The other great news about that is we know that the jump from 8th grade to 9th grade for some students is very difficult. And we don't want students to feel they must take English honors if in fact their love is science. And so by making this not linked together with English honors the way it's currently posted, we made that change. Now students who just, maybe they have all B's in English and they don't love to read, but they happen to be strong enough to score that 530 or better, and they're in honors math, they're automatically in this class. And that way students can choose where they want to put their work. So that's the one change, and I think that opened up a great number of students in there. The other change we made was in English honors. As you know, at the middle school level, our English courses, our language arts courses are rigorous. Our students are reading and writing all the time, and so as learners, they have really grown and they're able to take on rigorous content. And so we relaxed the scores in the English honors as well as compared to what is posted right now in 2 ways. First, after we received our PSAT 8-9 data and we compared it with national norms, we gave points for scores from 400 and up. So the top amount of scores are now being assigned to the top 10% nationally, which is 35% of our students, a score 530 and higher. And students who score in the 50th percentile or more, which is a score of 400, will earn 10 points. In addition, we assign more points for a wider range of scores on the district writing task. We had tightened it up a little bit in the rubric that was approved in February. And now that we see the scores, we want to make sure that we capture as many students as possible, and we relax those scores to reflect exactly what they were last year, which is what we said we were going to do. So this is important for you to see. Our enrollment in grade 9 honors and accelerated as the goal of the district has been to increase that access. And I believe, if I understand the information correctly, the board challenged Dr. O'Malley to increase the number of students who are taking AP classes. And so under his leadership, the district embarked on that, because that doesn't happen at the high school. That happens at the middle school. So if we want more students in AP classes, we have to start in the middle school. So in 15-16, if you consider that the baseline, which was already higher, we had, this is our grade 9 enrollment. We started pushing kids into higher level classes, so that now in 18-19, you'll see 19-20 is, we're projecting that in most of those courses, we're at over 60% of the students are in honors or accelerated classes. Those are the students who will be eligible for AP classes. So in 2 or 3 years, we expect that more than half of the juniors and seniors will be eligible for AP classes. So it was a lot of work. I applaud the CTC committee. They've spent hours and hours on site here, but I know they love hanging out with me. True? Yes? And so we did a lot of hard work, a lot of goal setting and what are we really here for, and a lot of looking at math. And we wanted to balance the commitment that we made to not change too much with the commitment that we made to increase access to as many students as possible. And I believe we've achieved that with the revised grouping procedures that are on in front of the board right now. We've also made this commitment, that one of the problems that we heard with this is that with a new test, we didn't tell people what the grouping procedures were going to be in time. So for 2019-20, we will make the grouping procedures. We are finishing them in June, so that when students come back to school in September, they know absolutely everything that counts as they're trying to pursue their goals for high school. So we do have that. And given that, in our meetings with the CTC, we have a couple of goals here. First, we want it done in June. Second, we want to make sure that it at least keeps our access the same or increases it. So what we've already started doing is we're pulling grouping procedures that are used in other high-performing districts, and we want to simplify the process so an 8th grader can understand what's going on and doesn't have to go through a lot of calculations and a lot of worrying about 1 point and 2 points and grades, which only adds to the anxiety. We want the children to know that they're good at a particular subject and pursue what they love so they can focus their work in the honors classes that are perfect for them. Okay, Mr. Sexton?
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Can I just have questions here? I think a lot of parents here are for that reason, right? So I'm glad that we are revising our grouping procedures. The grouping procedure right now is very complicated, right? So some of the stuff that we noticed, that the writing assessment, the double counted. It's counted towards a kid's regular grade and also counted another 25 points. And the teacher recommendation, right? If the kids already made the criteria, why would you need a teacher recommendation? It's additional effort on the teachers, which is uncalled for. The teacher recommendation not gonna bring the kid down. The teacher recommendation are good when the students are the borderline, right? And the other thing is that every year we're adjusting this procedure differently, and it's hard for parents to keep up and for the students to keep up. I would suggest that we look into something that will continue instead of looking at it every year that we do this.
I agree.
And the other thing, a lot of the concern from the parents this year is the PSAT, right? Yes, exactly. So when they went for the parent-teacher conference in December, the parents asked the teachers, what is the PSAT going to play in the role of the grouping procedures? Some of the teachers didn't know. We didn't do a good job. So the teacher would tell us, don't worry about it. It's just a test, right? Exactly. You'll have your chance to speak. So let me. And also during the test, when the kids know it's not important, I know personally a couple of kids, he didn't even finish the test. You say, you know, it's too headache for me. I really don't care. So I'm not sure how we can adjust that in this round of grouping policy with the PSAT. And to me, that if we didn't give the message correctly to the parents and students, to me, it shouldn't be counted. So, although we lower the score, I see the effort. It's on the administration part around working with the CTC, but I still want to see if there's some other ways that we can do for this year. You can, if you still want the PSAT, you can give it less weight, or not even counting it. So we still have several days to look on this. I don't know if anything can be done. I hope that the CTC, that you can work together on some of this, because it's way too complicated. And I do understand some assessment tests is needed and stuff, but to me it's yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Jerry.
Yep.
I would just like to say to the parents that, as Deborah mentioned, the CTC committee has been having some very heated meetings over the last few weeks, and I would like to commend Shannon Peng, who has really been a bulldog in the fight for the kids. And all of you really need to know that. She has stood up for your children.
Thank you.
So we as parents may have to.
Yeah, you will have your chance. Not
yeah,
yet.
before Deborah go, because I just heard some things today, and I want to ask you, this writing assessment, how was it done? Is it through Linkit, or because I heard some of the classes are having it done on paper, some of them are having it done on computer. So looks like there's really no standard on this at all.
There are different assessments. So the 6th and 7th grade has a benchmark assessment.
Oh, just talking about 8th, because all of the parents are 8th graders. I think they're having a lot of concerns about moving to high school. And this writing assessment provides 25 points to the final rubric, besides the fact it's also double counted. But if the assessment are not even conducted in a standard format, how are you going to make sure it's graded fairly, or it's even conducted fairly? Because writing on the paper and writing on the computer, it could be very, very different. It's much easier to overwrite, to change the order of sentences on the computer, but it's very hard to do it on paper. And they're all done in the same amount of time. So how do we guarantee the fairness for all this?
I'll find out.
Oh, okay. And the math performance test, that is something added this year, and it was not last year. This math I also heard that, teachers are giving out this test, students take it, but they didn't even get the test paper back, so they don't even know how they only got a final score, but they don't know where did it wrong, how was it scored.
Right, that's the prognosis test. That was delivered through Linkit this year.
Yeah, but I heard it's also like 5-6 questions done on a paper or on a computer. But is there any way we can let the students know at least, where they did wrong, or,
No.
at least they can learn something out of it?
No.
So how do we know it was, who is grading this, by the way?
That's delivered through, that's like the prognosis test, it's delivered through Linkit. So we have it
So you're
graded that
saying
way.
computer graded? It's computer graded. Okay.
That's right.
Because I was hearing that, it was partial points. It's not like students are getting 55, 56, and 58. So I just don't know how computer graded 5 questions and giving out partial credits for a question. Because if there's only 5 questions, each question is like 20 points, how can they get a 56 and the other students get a 58? Obviously, some partial credits were given, and I don't even know how would a computer given a partial credits.
I can bring that to our CTC meeting. That question hasn't come up until now. And as I stated before, both all the prognosis tests last year were given through a different platform. So this year they're given through Linkit. And the combination for grouping procedures, we use a combination of performance in class, where the relationship between the teacher and the student is measured, where the student's growth is measured, where the student's ability to study is measured, and then we also use part of the assessment is what does a student know, just know, as soon as they show up for the test. And that's what the prognosis and the PSAT 8-9 measure. And so that's why they're unannounced, that's why they're cold tests. We love the PSAT 8-9 because you do get your scores back, and because all students can study, because we have access to that on the Khan Academy, and you don't have to have a tutor, and there will be information out there. And I think if we get that all published in June 2019, I think everybody will understand that better.
And also, there's another issue. I was looking at this biology that we changed that. I'm glad we changed that. And thank you for that.
Yep.
But also, I was, if a student doesn't get into biology honor class in 9th grade, right now there's no way they can make to chemistry honor class in 10th grade. And I'm a physical chemistry major myself. First of all, I really don't see, you really need to score a really high score in biology in order to do well in chemistry. I think that's too irrelevant subject. But even that's true, I think students who didn't perform really well in 8th grade, who's going to miss the biology honor in 9th grade, but if they did really well in 9th grade biology, they deserve a chance to move to chemistry honor in 10th grade. They can't be just blocked out for the entire high school because they missed the biology honor.
No, and of course we agree with you on that. And
that is something can be added like relatively easy, because that we can just say, just like you score A or A minus, I don't know what exactly.
I think there's enough.
I understand what you're saying.
Debbie?
I understand what you're saying.
I think there's enough concern to say we'll put it back in committee
Well,
and
right.
review it.
I think
I don't want
that's-
this to turn into a committee meeting when we don't have an opportunity to pull other research together. So thank you very much.
So parents, I know a lot of you came in today for the grouping procedures. This is a presentation to the board. We're going to open up for public comments later on. Okay, so hold it off. Let's finish the other agenda items. You can have your chance, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so you done with the superintendent?
No.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Field trips, we have 2 field trips to, one to Disney World. It's an adjudicated program for the choir. And the other is 90 students right here to the Ed Conference Center for some annual assessments review. The other thing is it was only the scheduled field trips. We had 2 HIBs, one that rose to the level. Professional development, we have 14 out of 16 are right here in the Ed Center, and the other 2 are, I believe, at Rutgers. So this concludes my items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saxon. Now we're going to our BA, Business Administrator Board Secretary report. Dan?
All right, thank you. If you turn to your investments page, you'll see that for the month of February, I think it's the highest interest amount we've received in a long time, because interest rates have been growing. We received $56,244 in interest for the month of February, brings our total amount up for the year up to $272,248. The next 6 pages is the Board Secretary's report for the month of January, followed by the Treasurer School Monies report for the same period. The resolutions that we're going to be presenting for Monday night's approval. As Mr. Saxon mentioned earlier, we have a preliminary budget. We have to have the board approve it. Actually, it was due in the county office today. I already submitted it to them. However, we won't be approving this preliminary budget until Monday the 25th. They already know that, but I have to send them a copy of the resolution after it's approved, certified. This resolution is just giving us the preliminary amount for the budget, submitted to the county superintendent. He will come back after he approves it, and then we'll put it in the newspapers. He approves it to be advertised. We advertise it then. The board then can make any changes they want to this budget before the budget hearing. Even the budget hearing night, they can make changes, which is on May 6th. Once they adopt it on May 6th, that's pretty much it. So that's for Monday night also. The second item I have is a transfer of funds in the amount of $640,000 in total. We need some educational supplies, we need some media supplies, guidance services, and we're taking some of the money from some of the breakage from some of these salary accounts, and we're also taking some from the purchase security services account because we don't have that in place yet. So that'll be for Monday night, and that's for the, effective as of January 31st. The third item I have on here is the superintendent search consultant. I did receive 2 proposals in. We closed the time for the RFPs to come in yesterday. I'll discuss the proposals in closed session with the board, and if the board agrees on one or the other of the 2 consultants that we received, we'll have it on the agenda for Monday night to be approved, and then we can move forward on the search. Item number 4, we had some Title I funds. Those are federal funds that we get for remedial students. We had some extra money because we didn't have it, the state had it, and they reallocated some of it to us, and we get a total of $15,136 that we now can, they call it reallocated Title I grant money. It's specifically for our lowest achieving school, which happens to be Lindenau School at this point in time. So we need the board to approve that $15,000 so we can start using it for the Lindenau students. Item number 5 is we'd like to participate in a local government energy audit. The state will reimburse us up to $100,000 for auditing all of our schools in the case of energy. They'll actually look at our boilers, they'll look at our lighting, they'll look at all of our energy needs. And once they give us the audit, they will tell us what they recommend to change, and they will reimburse up to $100,000. If it's not enough to cover all 19 schools, we can carry it into next year. We get another $100,000 next year. We'd like to participate in that so we can get some report back, so we know where our major problems are energy-wise. We have a good handle on that pretty much now, but if I can get them to audit it for me and I don't have to pay for it, I love it.
So
Next
Dan, quick
yes.
question on that. So, who is performing the audit?
The state has, the federal government actually has appointed, there's about 6 different companies that you can pick from, and you pick one of those, and they come in and they give you a proposal. You could actually go after a number of them if you want more than one proposal, but you still get up to $100,000 back from the federal government.
Okay, and we haven't done this before, right? In the
No.
past? Okay.
No,
All right.
it's the first time.
All right, thanks. Was they be considering provide a recommendation like solar energies and those kind of stuff?
All that stuff will come into play, correct, yes.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is the non-public security aid monies for some non-public schools. As you can see, we have 3 schools that are listed here. We have to approve the purchase orders before they can actually submit them. Number 7 is the technology, non-public technologies monies. Again, we have, actually there's 2 different schools, but 3 orders for Little Flower Montessori School, 1 for St. Helena's. We need board approval for that. We have one school, James Madison Intermediate School, gave us some obsolete library books to be declared obsolete Monday night. Number 9 is the bill list. All the board members received a copy of the bill list. A few board members actually came to see me about a few things on there. If anybody has any questions, just please give me a call. And the final item on here tonight is the transportation report. And these are all special education students. We're going through the Ed Services Commission on these for the amounts listed on the agenda. And that concludes my report, Mr. Shi.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now board members, open discussion. Any board
Now,
members?
before that, I want to introduce Mr. Ross.
Oh, yes, okay. All right, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Ross from the high school, who would like to address the board regarding an incident that had recently occurred.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Recently posted viral videos from 2017 and associated resurfaced racist tweets have cast a shadow on Edison High over the past 24 hours. While I can't comment on any specifics for reasons of student privacy because the investigation is ongoing, I want to do my best to assure our community that my staff works daily to provide both the physical and emotional safety of all our students. We're blessed to be one of the most diverse schools in New Jersey, with students from 6 continents and over 24 countries. We deal immediately with issues of bias and harassment with a multifaceted approach. We investigate, students receive progressive discipline, counseling, and as a school participate in assemblies and activities that highlight the myriad of cultures under our roof. I personally meet with affected students to make sure their voices are heard and they are respected. We'll be gathering some of these students along with student leaders in a focus group tomorrow, where they will share their perspectives in a safe forum, and I hope, under the hope that open and honest dialogue can lead to change and a further reduction of any incidents of racism and bias in our school. Edison High continues to be a safe, inclusive, and secure place where students achieve more than most New Jersey high schools and learn from each other in a true 21st century environment. Thank you, Mr. Shi, Mr. Saxton.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Now we open up for comments of school board members. Anyone?
Can I talk about the calendar?
It's off the it's off. We're not. We're
Took
gonna
it
talk
off?
offline.
We are going to take
Yes.
it.
Yes. Anybody else? See none? I just. Oh, Mr. Ward. Okay.
Yeah, is this just on resolutions?
No,
No.
this is on the
Board member
board member comments.
Everything?
Yes.
Oh, we're down here, okay. Okay. The drama departments of both our high schools will be having plays this weekend. Edison High School is performing Curtains Thursday at 6:30, Friday at 7, and Saturday at 2 and 7. And JPS is performing Chicago, and they will be performing on the 14th, the 16th, the 21st, and the 23rd, and I don't know the times. But
Probably
I
7.
can guarantee both plays are really good plays, and I'm encouraging you to give these children your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, so I just want to add on, the J.P. Stevens will have a jazz festival on March 29th. There will be 13 bands across the state attending, including the state champion J.P. Stevens Band. So if you don't like jazz, go there. You will actually find you love jazz from that on. If you love jazz, you'll be love it even more. Okay, so the other things, I just want to congratulate Yashas Ravi and Kia Patel. Both of them made to the USA Biology Olympiad. They were in the top 10 of the first round. They're taking exams right now, March 18th to 22nd. If they make the top 20, they will go to the final. And actually, about 6-7 years ago, we had a student who represented USA on the chemistry Olympiad twice to the world, Elmer Tan. So he graduated from Harvard. So the other thing is, you probably read in the newspaper, we got additional $3.2 million extra state aid from the state, which is going the right direction. But we got some money last year. We got it this year, but we're still $16 million short. So we'll continue to work with the whoever, our legislators and politicians in Edison, in the Middlesex area, to get us more funds that we deserve. And the other thing is on March 28th, Woodrow Wilson, 6:30. There will be a seminar called Hidden in Plain Sight. It is a free substance abuse program. It is a cooperation between Edison Municipal Alliance and the BOE. We'll have DEA special agent there to talk about this issue. So far, we already have 300 parents registered for that event. So if you guys are interested, March 22nd, 6:30 at Woodrow Wilson. And the other thing I want to say is yesterday was National Certified Nurse Day. I want to congratulate all the nurses in our district. They worked very, very hard on this very overcrowded school district. They put a lot of effort in there to keep our children safe. And the other announcement Mr. Saxton wanted me to make, I've been waiting for this, is that we're going to have a cricket program starting next year. Okay, so we're going to start in the middle school, and we're also going to have in the girls, boys, and high school. So, and we have heard the voice from the community. I'm so happy that finally we can put something in there, in the program, and hope we'll see some cricket being played in our school ground. I hope one of our board members can go and throw out the first pitch next year. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that we're going to be introducing cricket in our schools. The only thing is, when we look to have volunteers or coaches, hopefully we'll get someone from the community that is familiar with cricket, that will be a parent volunteer or a community volunteer, and help out our staff members that will be the coaches of these programs. So excited to see that start. Is that a fall sport or a spring sport? Fall sport, so we should be starting up in August. Thank you.
Since you're a big baseball fan, we'll send you to throw out the first pitch.
I would like to hit that once. I don't know if I'd be able to.
Yeah, that's hard. All right. So, yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to say this month is really exciting. It started out great with Read Across America, and I had the experience of visiting various schools, reading to the children, and every school was so receptive, and the children seemed very excited about having books read to them, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm going to be ending the month going down to Cherry Hill to the FCCLA State Conference.
Okay.
I have the chance to judge, I don't know what yet, and I would just like to wish all the Edison students in FCCLA to have a great conference.
We always do well there.
Yes.
All right. Any other board members? See none. Now we open up for public comments. Before you go there, the protocol is name and address. You have 6 minutes for your questions and comments. All right. So who's first? Okay, Joe.
Try not to repeat.
Yeah. You're gonna get your timer.
Yeah. Joseph Johnson, 407 Durham Avenue. Family, friends, and colleagues, as we round out the month of March and celebrate Women's Month, we just want to thank all the women who have paved the way for us to be here today. We celebrated Women's Month by playing a Students versus Mentors Women's History Jeopardy at last week's Lena Harris Foundation Mentorship Program. Furthermore, as we come to the conclusion of the Lena Harris Foundation Mentorship Program, I just want to remind the board about the end of the year scholarship and awards luncheon, in which we will be honoring the 9 students of the program, as well as the 4 scholarships that will be given out. Our keynote speakers for the evening will be former Mayor Tony Resigliano and Middlesex County Superintendent Mr. Kyle Anderson. And the special guests who will be in attendance will be Bishop Donald Hilliard Jr. of Cathedral International, East Brunswick Mayor Brad Cohen, Middlesex County Sheriff Mildred Scott, Community Specialist Keith Jones, and lastly, Councilman Sam Joshi. We thank everyone involved, including Civilis Cucina, who is catering the event, and Anderson's Flowers, who are sponsoring the decorations, as well as everybody who has helped thus far. And we just want to extend an invite to all the board members. I believe I emailed all of you guys, as well as Mrs. Gulick and Mr. Saxon as well. If you guys can attend, that would be great. It's at the YMCA JCC on April 6th from 2 to 4 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next. Name, address.
Hi, I'm Shweta Jain. I live at 47 Linwood Road, Edison. I want to talk about grouping procedures, and I'm hopefully going to cover some of the concerns that parents have. So first of all, thank you for re-looking at them. I think some of the aspects you shared, appeared more appreciative of our concerns. Shannon already covered a few other aspects around how would a kid move from a 9th grade to a 10th grade to an 11th grade. So I think that should be considered. Sir, you mentioned about, PSAT considerations, and more importantly, on an ongoing basis, how can we create a grouping procedure that kind of stays so that the baseline is measurable from a student or parent perspective. So I'm looking for all of those considerations to be taken into account as this is being looked at. The only other addition I guess 2 things I would talk about is A, you mentioned publication of the revised procedure in June. I believe that is too late. Given the fact that, you published this.
That's for next school year.
For the next school year. So when can we learn about this school year? I think that wasn't addressed. So we want to know when my kid who's in the 8th grade going into 9th grade, when do I learn about it? So maybe that's a question.
Well, that's what we're gonna discuss. So if everything is acceptable, we'll approve at the Monday meeting. If we have issues, then we could approve at the April meeting, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, my concern was around the June timing, so I'm glad you'll be able to move it up.
Yeah, that June is for next week.
Okay, great. And then the other thing is I also have a 5th grader. So I know today's focus was about moving from middle school to high school, but I would say as tedious and cumbersome the ranking procedure is for movement from middle to high, I think it's equally tedious and cumbersome from elementary to middle school. So please look at that as well.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right. Yes.
Good evening, board member, president, and respected board members. My name is Pradeep Samanta. I'm from 66 Kelly Drive, Edison. My specific concern, I think president already mentioned about this year criteria for selection of the science and adding the English honors as a concurrence with the mathematics honors, and or 530 marks PSAT, which you already know that it was not communicated to the parents properly before the PSAT was happening. So this, I think this was not there earlier years in this concurrence mathematics and English honors. So I request to all board members and the president to look into this matter so that our kids can, or our Edison kids can maximize the opportunity to get a science and the successive year also chemistry and honors, so that they can achieve the AP scope for the college and all. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'd like to respond to that. In our meeting last Thursday or Friday, one of the hundreds of CTC meetings we've had, we had the honors bio teachers come and speak to the committee. And all of the science supervisors were present. The two assistant supers were there. We had a number of people. And the bio honors teachers laid out 2 textbooks for us. One was the honors 9th grade textbook, and the other was the textbook that is used in the regular classes. The honors textbook is a college level text, and it is an extremely, extremely difficult book. And what the honors teachers explain to us is when they have students who cannot read at the level that that book is geared for, that they are bogged down. Instead of teaching the science, they're teaching the vocabulary, they're teaching the other things that they should not have to be teaching to the honors class under the assumption that the students qualify. The other thing that the teachers mentioned was that in lab reports that the honors students are expected to do, they want to see higher level thinking on the Bloom's taxonomy, and including synthesis and analysis. And what they're finding is that those students who are not honors English material, they cannot do that. And that is a detriment to the students who are in that class and really can't hold up to the honors English score. So that was really hit home to me when I saw that textbook.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Anusha Venkatesan. I'm from 154 Linda Lane in Edison. To your point, I do agree that there are times that language skills are attached to some forms of sciences. But then back where I come from, I hold a master's degree in this country. Biology and physical sciences, like Shannon mentioned, physics and chemistry, they're very different. And the students should have the biology honors as an option, because some kids are not inclined towards biology, but they love chemistry and physics. So that should be an option, and they should be able to jump into chemistry honors even if they choose not to do biology honors.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. Prashant Joshi, 4 Utica Road, Edison. I'm here coming for the second time because last time in a November meeting,
I remember you.
JP Stevens, I raised the issue regarding the PSAT. The comment was made that recently, just now, is that PSAT is 8 and 9, and I give a detailed description how the PSAT 8 and 9 is not suitable for 8th grade student doing in December, because the curriculum which it covers doesn't get covered, and it is written on the website for PSAT. So I'm not making this up. I have given the clippings of that also. Second thing, which is mentioned that PSAT you do not have to take the classes. Everything is available in Khan Academy. That's not a correct statement. It's an incorrect statement. It's not available in Khan Academy. PSAT 8 and 9, right? I'm talking about very specific. It's not available. Okay?
One at a time.
Yeah, so that's the incorrect statement. It's not available. And at that time I also mentioned that I was told that after doing the pre-SAT, assessment will be done and there will be some conversation, discussion, and will be presented to community. I haven't seen anything. Can we know what the assessment and done? Because yes, I see that, okay, if you do not have English honors, we go into English scores 530. The kids who are in English honors got 530, or those who are not English honors got 530? On what basis this criteria is decided? So, and again, pre-SAT is done only once. I-ready was done over the period of the year. So one day, one kid has a bad day, that's it. So all these things, we discuss it. I was told specifically, and sir, you were promised me afterwards meeting that we will look into it. I haven't received anything, I haven't seen anything that, okay, why we are doing. And we are again discussing here, oh, pre-SAT 8 and 9. So this is really frustrating. That's one aspect. So there was some comment mentioned that, okay, we are going to discuss this in Monday meeting. Is this a Monday meeting open to public or it's a internal?
Yes, it's public. Yes, Monday meeting is public meeting.
Over here?
Not here.
Somewhere else.
JP Stevens.
JP Stevens.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the last thing mentioned over here, that some science teachers are coming and telling that how English is important, right? So there is I can send a National Science and Technology Council published, right? What needs to be done for the STEM education. And it's a link, it's a published report. And it's clearly stated that in that report that English should not be such an emphasis for doing science. So either our teachers are getting wrong, or this national public report, which is published throughout the US and all the people are doing it, either wrong. So I do not know which one. If I put my bets, I will go with the people who have done all this thing. So somehow this needs to be put into this, and I'm myself an engineer. I understand this. I didn't love biology, I know it, but I love chemistry. And I was very good in chemistry, but I was not good in biology. I put biology in option, but I do chemistry. So now if my son or daughter, whoever it is, wants to do anything, they are stuck. And the last and critical point is that we're putting middle school teachers, kids, to prepare for the high school. In the high school, we prepare for the college, which makes sense. But in middle school, we are putting so much restriction and so much thinking on them when they are not mature enough. And they do not get an option to move up. That was the basic point why pre-SAT and everything, okay, you get an option to see what is it, but doesn't mean that it's a criteria. We made it a criteria. So in Edison School District, we're putting middle school kids to be more mature than the rest of the school district are asking. So all these things has to be considered Monday meeting, and I recommend that all the board members who are here should reject all these changes. And otherwise there is a vote and we know who voted for, we would not voted for, and we'll have to take appropriate action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the Monday meeting is to, probably before the Monday meeting, there will be committee meetings. As you know, that I mentioned to you that this thing will be looked into. The committee was looking into it. Okay, so we talked about last time. This is also a presentation today. We try to address the concerns. That's why we are here to listen to all you guys' concerns, right? Okay, so yes, ma'am.
Good evening, board members. Padmaja Chinta, 4102 Springbrook Drive. I want to begin by saying thank you very much to all the board members for their willingness to revisit the placement criteria and allowing discussion to take place and devoting the time that this important issue really deserves. So really thank you. I come to you as a parent of a middle schooler and a high schooler who is just coming to recognize the significance of and the outsized role that the high school coursework plays in the increasingly stressful college situation. So I have written before to the board to share some of the concerns that a lot of parents have. We also started an online petition to, and I believe the board has it, and if we don't, we'll be happy to provide it. The petition has been signed so far by 363 parents, and more are signing each day. I'm mentioning this simply to underscore the extent of distress this issue has caused, both among parents as well as students. I mean, the amount of signatures does not fully capture, but I can tell that it is much, much more than any number of emails or calls the board may have received. So I urge the board to take that petition and the extent of support it has seriously. I want to just highlight 2 points here. The first one is about fairness. I don't know the genesis of this whole placement rubric, how it came about, but I can tell that the bar has risen and the criteria have become higher. I'm not here to argue to lower the criteria, but only to make the criteria fair. It is not fair to link science to English or English to social studies, or for that matter, any subject to any other subject. You know, it's not fair in theory, and it's especially not fair and makes no sense in the practical world. And we can go through so many examples. A doctor doesn't need to have highest proficiency in English to do a good job in what he does. So doing this is really doing, I believe, a disservice to the students for something that is irrelevant. And it is also not fair to take away opportunities for students to advance and move up to a higher level. You know, schools of all places should be the place to encourage the students to improve and do better in life. So while it may be okay to tell the students you're not good enough for something, I don't believe it is okay or even fair to tell the students you're not even good enough to try. You missed the boat in 9th grade, now you're stuck. I don't think that's fair. Just think about the emotional damage that will be done by, you know, having an environment like this. The second point I want to talk about is uniqueness. I think this rubric is really unique in being fundamentally unfair. I mean, I'm not aware of any other school district in New Jersey that uses these kind of criteria for determining placement into honors level. You know, Millburn School District, which is arguably the top school district in New Jersey, does not use this criteria. Neither does Princeton, neither does Livingston, neither does Summit, or West Windsor. These are all schools that are ranked higher than JP in the ranking systems. Even schools ranked lower than JP, you're talking, you know, Bridgewater, Plainsfield, Westfield, Weehawken. None of these schools have this criteria. I'm sure JP is not the only high school that is offering honors placement and struggling how to figure out placing kids in honors. But if no other school district has come up with this kind of criteria, I'm curious what was the basis to come up with this criteria and this rubric. So if we're somehow trying to limit the number of students that are getting into honors level, I'm sure there are other ways to do it. We can make the bar within the same subject higher if need be, but just make it fair and not link it to unrelated subjects. So I hope and urge that the board members, you know, will reflect in their considerations the concerns that have been raised today. And, you know, a school should really motivate a student to excel and provide an opportunity to develop their talents, wherever their talents may ultimately lie, but school should not be telling the kid, do not try, you're not good enough to try.
So thank you very much for listening, and I really hope that the board will give this due consideration.
Thank you.
My name is Subodh Sharma. I live at 63 Karen Place. So, I mean, I think everybody has covered all the points that we had. My biggest concern and point I want to raise is we are playing with, future of the kids. And my kid right now is struggling because we don't know what the criteria is, right? We had, last year, we know iReady was in the place, right? So now the thing is, why was the decision taken to remove iReady for 8th grade student last year? Why can't they decide all these criteria a year ahead, which, like you're saying, decided for June, you're gonna be deciding this now? I mean, you should be deciding at least 2 years in advance. Not even 1 year is not a good enough time frame. Why are we making so many changes at last minute and not even communicating? That's the biggest thing. Before PSAT, we have no idea what the PSAT 89 was. There is no help. The online books are like, they're not enough. A lot of kids are going shading. I'm pretty sure a lot of kids made mistake in shading the answers because they have not done that before. So they're going to this test first time, and we are considering that as a criteria, and that's not fair for the students of this year class. And to make it fair, please make the criteria now for the next year and advertise, like, let them know in advance. But I mean, this is really, really frustrating.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Pallavi Kabadi. I live on 113 Christie Street. I have two issues that I wanted to raise. One was changing the criteria, letting the parents and the teachers know well in advance so they can see what needs to be changed. We have time to appeal if required, and so on. Since this criteria was not given to us well in advance, I don't think it should apply to our kids. Number two, looping subjects together. English to science, English to social studies. I'm a computer science person. I don't think if you want to be in a soccer team, you should be trying out for track. You need to run in both, but I don't think it's required. Somebody who loves soccer, they're going to run their best in that game and hate running on the track field. It's the same thing. If a child is interested and passionate in science and in history, they would love to analyze that material, that reading material, but may hate Macbeth. And I don't think they should be linked together at all. It would have been the same for me. I would have had no doors open to me in my own career if I had to just link it to my Macbeth or Shakespeare work. So I'm appealing to this board to understand this difference. There are kids who would do great in bio, will put in the hard work. This district, the kids work hard as hell. They will put in the hard work and they will work to understand the material. They will read the vocab and they will produce. But you do not have to make them study in English, and there will be two things that will happen if you link all these subjects together. One is some of the kids will be completely demotivated and they will give up. And the second is those kids who really, really want it bad, they're going to put so much pressure on themselves to study Shakespeare and put all that into English, the time that they could have put into the subjects that they really, really love. They could push deeper into those subjects, they could really excel in those subjects. So I'm requesting the board to understand this, to see what the kids really love and give them a chance to kind of excel in their own passionate areas. If the kids get to do what they love, if they get to excel in the subjects that they love without forcing them to do subjects that they don't love, I think all the success will follow. The grades will follow, the ratings will go up, the kids will be much, much happier than any of those kids in high school today who are relieved to get out of JP. And that is what is going on right now. So I'm really, really requesting all of you to please consider this. Go with the interests of the children. Give them a chance to move, give them a chance to move up, give them a chance to flow into other areas if they lose interest in one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just to address that science issue, I think I know what Beth knows last week when we talked to the science supervisor. I just want to mention, yeah, I do agree some level of English is needed, but I think the reason the biology teacher are saying in their classes that some of the students are not able to make the standards is because the year before last year, science grades in 8th were not even considered, were not even used as a criteria to make honor class. On the contrary, you do have to have I-ready test in English and in math. Those two are already used as a criteria to move to biology honor, but science in 8th or 7th grade are never considered. I think that's one of the reasons, because some kids are, you know, I think if you're not doing well in your science in 8th or 7th, you probably won't be able to do it very well in 9th grade. I think that's the contributing cause for that biology class in there. So, but we are adding that back to the criteria this year. So that, again, you know, this grouping procedure keeps changing every year. We really need to pay more attention to what's the change, because if it's not reasonable, it really could screw up the kids. Yeah. So just.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you for putting that up, because I was going to say the same thing. But sorry, my name is Kriti, and I am coming from 22 Harding Avenue. One of my kids is a senior, and he was not an English major, but he is honors kids, and right now he has AP Chem and Physics. He was not an English good, but he was teaching English honor kids bio honors. He was tutoring them. So putting to that you need an English honors to teach bio honors, I don't find it right. And in bio honors in 9th grade, it's mostly genetics, which is your Latin and your Greek words, which is nowhere near your English honors that we work for it. English papers are entirely different. That the way you think and you write in there is completely different than what you write for your science. Second of all, I want to bring that our J.P. Stevens school has whatever honors and AP we have. You will see that when I was in, it is compared to the other schools, US-wide, we are providing less honors and AP focus to the kids to get it compared to the other schools in our, not just the district, but US-wide. This is important because when your child is going for college applications, the AP courses, how hard honors courses you have taken, that is taken into major criteria. So not only it is going to affect the child that how he or she will be able to get into 9th grade, what honors he will be getting, it's also going to affect his college application, which I see it firsthand since my child is doing a college he has done the college application, but this is what we came across when we went to different colleges visits. Secondly, every now and then, every year for past 10 years, I have seen every time when the criteria is changed, it is changed in the middle of the school year. So the teachers are not only the teachers, the parents are unaware, and if you ask the teachers will always tell us that they do not know anything and it is not going to be taken into consideration. No teacher is aware of it. They are not teaching you that way. So it's not just the parents, it's the teachers also who are not in the loop. So I want to know the supervisors, when they are making these decisions, I don't think so that they are taking the teacher's consideration in that hand. because they are unaware of it. Thirdly, all the criteria that has been included, that everybody has pointed out, that even for the 5th grade, one of the parents was talking about the 5th grade, you are making the criteria harder just so, then I would think, just so that we either don't have enough teachers to teach our kids properly, or you are making sure that the kids should not be going up higher in the, for the classes or getting any opportunity at all. Thank you. That should be all.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paulmi. I'm from 3 Hayes Street, Edison. As she said, that every time when the criteria or about a test comes up, Edison Public School teachers first raises their hand saying, we don't have any idea about this test. We don't know about this test. We are not going to consider this test. Don't worry about this test or go against this. When the park was introduced, I used to work as a sub in the schools. And I have been told by the teachers to protest, to tell the parents, to go and tell the parents to protest against that park. That these schools, no, this is a very bad test, this test should not be taken, and this and that. But when my friends, their students are in either Plainsboro, in East Brunswick, in other places, the teachers have taken the responsibility that yes, there is a park exam coming on. Parents, please don't be afraid. We are taking care of it. We are preparing our kids for it. You don't have to worry about that. But Edison teachers, they first raises their hand that we don't know anything. Please don't do this with the students. This is a very frustrating thing that comes on the students. They are scared, they get scared. My daughter, she's very good in math, she's good in science, yeah, she's good in English, but when the criteria came up 2-3 weeks back, she came home crying, literally crying. She couldn't sleep the whole night, saying, I may be losing this thing for 3 points, mommy, for 3 points. What am I going to do? They are saying that they are not going to give science in future for me. I am a good student in science. She got the best school student for the science. Her science teacher loves her because the way she presents the project. Please, please, I beg you, please look at these kids. These kids are very young. They don't understand what is honors. They are young. It's time for them to play. It's time for them to understand the world, to let them understand what the subject is, what the subject carries. Yeah, 9th to 12 is important. It's crucial. Please be supportive. We understand what pressure they are going on, please. And please let the teachers know and let the parents know ahead what is coming. Please make it free and frank. Let the teachers be frank to the parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so to let you know, in the past month since we passed the, the last grouping policy, the CTC had multiple meetings to discuss this. So as you see, we still have some issues. We'll continue to discuss it. So yeah.
I just want to comment on that, the point thing that your daughter missed 3 points, and also comment on before that lady in white also talk about fairness. Yeah, the biggest problem I see for this rubric is the fairness, because we're using a very complicated formula of conversion system. We're converting 2 tests, PSAT and, for example, English writing assessment. We're converting a point system to another, where you can score 89 out of 100 in your assessment, or you can score 90, but if you score 90 in your assessment, you get 25 points. If you score 89, you only get 20. We're not using a proportional system, we're not using a bracket system, where we're basically telling the students, if you score 89, that 1 point difference in 100%, it's a 1% difference is going to turn into a 20% difference in your rubric, which is going to determine you go to honor or not. And I really don't think this is a fair system, because we're basically telling the kids, if you score 89, you're much worse than those people who score 90, but you are at the same level as those who score as 83. But who are we to say that? I don't see the reason we say that. If that's the reason, there's a reason PSAT and writing assessment are using a point system where it's a continuous point. You can't just, if we're using a bracket, we might just as well tell the teacher, you don't need to distinguish a score of 89 or 83. Just give out score as 90, 80, and 70. You don't need to bother to do that anymore. So I think, and we're going to work really hard on this. I think this point system needs to be removed, because this is not fair. There's no fairness in the system, and that's what I hope that we can work really hard to change in the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Yes,
thanks, Shannon. Also, what I would really like to hear from all of you, we've heard your very heartfelt comments, and the last thing any of the 9 of us want to do is cause your children or your family stress, believe me. We understand that in today's world, it's very different than when some of us sent children through the system, that getting into college today is so much harder. There's so many things that weigh on the children and on you, the expense of college and all of that. So we want to hear you. I've heard the same arguments now several times. What I would like to know from the people present is, what would you like us to do? Drop the requirement of the PSAT 9 for this year? I'm not really hearing what that is what you're asking.
Yes.
Drop the linking and the link between the different
Give them the right to the
What, can you go
Yeah, please come to the microphone.
Yeah, go to the mic and yes.
I will say that a teacher is the best person who understands what the student is going, how much improvement the student has done in the classroom. So the teacher must be the person who has the right to take the decision whether this kid is supposed to go into an honors level.
We're never going to come to a total agreement with everyone.
I think we just have to let people continue to make their comments.
Never going.
Wait. Do we have any first timers, people who has not spoken? Well, yes, please. We'll let those people speak first.
Hello, Sharmila Chatterjee from 112 Monroe Avenue. My question is, the criteria is still not set. Once it is set, how are you going to communicate it? Have you thought about how you will manage what comes next? Who is going to explain everything to us? Who is going to answer all the questions? Is it just that you're going to post it and read it and good luck to you and have a good time understanding it? Is there anyone who is going to be available to answer hundreds and hundreds of emails that you're going to get? Do you have any resources set aside to do that? I have had a really hard time understanding what is posted right now, so I don't know how you're going to manage whatever it is that you're going to post next. How will you let everyone know? And who is going to oversee this? Is there any one person? Are there 10 people? How is that going to happen? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Debbie, you want to go? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shea, and I appreciate everybody's input. We had heard most of this as we met in CTC over the last couple of days. And so I would encourage you to look at what will be posted, because it captures much of what you're saying and releases some of that information without getting to, as I think we can see, we're not going to satisfy everyone with all of our potential suggestions. We can answer your questions. I can answer your questions. The supervisors can answer your questions. We can, I'll work with someone to see if you might be able to enter your own scores and figure out what that might be as well, so that it isn't so complicated, which is one of the things that we want to fix. But right now, your response is based on the information that was posted in February. And since February, we have been working tirelessly, once we have the data, to make sure we capture more of the students, so that at this time, a full 35% of our students are in honors classes. And so I think that most of you that are here are going to be satisfied with the adjustments that we've made, and we need a little bit of time to be able to post that. Even though they're not approved tonight, maybe we can post them as pending, after this meeting for tomorrow, so that everyone knows in public what you're going to vote on?
Yes.
Would you be comfortable with that?
Wait.
Okay, that is the
Okay.
best that I could do at this point, and I think everyone wants to know what they are, so I think we have to come to a conclusion. And please know that the procedures that are posted are approved. The board voted on them, and that is what we're working off of, unless we can reach consensus on something. So I strongly encourage you to consider the adjustments we've made.
Okay, wait, do you have any first-timers? Yes, go ahead.
So, I want to talk about my kids. Like, I have a high schooler and I have a...
Name and address.
Oh, okay. My name is Sarita Chintavar, and I stay at 61 Mount Pleasant Avenue, Edison. So I have two kids. One is in 10th grade and the other is in 8th grade. We moved last year from Old Bridge Township. So my son got, when he was entering high school, he got into the honors. But over here, since it's 2 levels or 1 level high, they said, and they put him in the regular class. So he's in the accelerated now, but the thing is now, because of the linking system, he's already at a disadvantage because he's very good in, he's a A+ student in social studies, but because of his English, he's getting held back. So he's not challenged enough, and he's not being encouraged to study at his level for that level. And since he's good in science, but because of his math, he couldn't get into honors for that also, and then he's again in that level 1. So he's at a disadvantage now also. And I heard from him recently, like saying that he can't take any AP classes unless he writes an entrance exam. And based on that also, his teacher is doubtful because he's not in honors in all the subjects. So I feel like me changing the school district now, it made me rethink, like, is it really worth coming and learning here? I felt like he will get overall all the support and, you know, good, more competitive education system, and he will be successful. But I thought I started him late just because of this linking system. He's at a disadvantage. And now I'm just thinking like what I should do to get him to the AP courses or anything. He has the potential, but he's not challenged enough because he's at such a level where he's not in honors or nor he's an average student. So that's what is affecting me a lot, and I had to rethink like, know what I have to do if he does not get into a good college because of his credits. And so I think like overall this linking system is setting them up for failure when we compete with other district students. Already there is a lot of competition, but again this is an added disadvantage I feel, which should be removed and or at least rethought, and you know they should be able to pursue whatever subject they are in good, and they are supposed to be encouraged and excelled in that. So I feel like that. And my daughter, though she's an average student, so I'm not looking for any of the rubric or anything like that, but I want to succeed. Suppose if she does good in one subject, I want her to get into that honors level and pursue it instead of being linked to for other subjects where she's not interested in doing it. She's interested in arts and consumer science and all that stuff, and she's not interested in science or math or in other stuff. So, but I still came here because I felt at least you will rethink when these kids go into high school, they don't face what my son faced.
Okay, thank you. I just want to tell you a story. My son had a good friend. He moved to from Canada to here, in JP. He started from the base level course, okay, and you know when he graduated from JP, he got into Columbia, okay. So first, I commend you. The decision you made from Woodbridge is definitely the right decision, okay. And if you have specifics about your children, I think the best way is to talk to the counselor. We'll be more than happy to help the student. We need all the students to be challenged. If your child is not challenged, we can, you know, the school and the counselor can, you know, talk with the teachers and students to make some assessment to make sure that he's up to the level that he should be. Okay? Talk to the counselor. Thank you. All right. Any first timers? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jimmy Parek, 1601 Deerfield Drive, Edison. So adding on all these points, so my son, as before this criteria is released, my son was thinking to go in a band. He's like from grade
Go to the
3.
band.
Yeah, so he was he
Go
was
to
in
the band. That's number one choice.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Now, as the rubrics published, and he got out of the English honors because he is from the gifted and talented English from 3rd grade to 8th grade honors, and he dropped out from the English honors. So he really, I mean, he was really upset, and then he started thinking that, oh, I mean, band is first. He was planning to go to the marching band and all those things,
Yes,
which takes
go
a
to the
definitely
marching
good time. So he get back out of the bank. He didn't feel the band as his first choice because he thought that he will not get enough time to put in the maths and other stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that is the on top of all those parents' concern. Another concern is he's in GEMS, and they started the break in between of the for a snacks break. I think they started just 2 days back, and I think I heard from a lot of parents from JP that the kids get a lot of pressures in between of the class and they cannot eat properly. So if as a school district as a whole, if we can introduce something where kids can get about 10 minutes in between of the periods where they can have a snacks. A lot of kids are shy enough, they cannot eat in hallway, and they try to follow the rules all the way. My son is one of them. So if that can be implemented, it will be very good for those kids to maintain their pressure, and they can be good hydrated between the classes. Okay. So that is one of the requests.
Jerry?
Okay.
Jerry?
Anyone? Is she done? Is he done?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I want to clarify 2 things, and I want to speak to that comment on snacks. First of all, I'm not 100% sure, but I think some people don't understand you don't have to take the honors English. You have to qualify for it. And I think many people here are under the impression that if you take the honors bio, you must take the honors English. That's not true, right, Ms. Gould?
That's not the case we are talking about. We are talking about that's not the case.
Okay, so what? Okay.
Oh, okay, all right. And now on the snack thing, I couldn't agree with you more. When I taught at J.P. Stevens, I was keenly aware teenagers are always hungry. I can tell you, I had elementary school kids when I did wingman training this week, elementary, that polished off 4 pieces of pizza, and 2 hours later were eating cookies and chips. I kid you not. And we have kids in both high schools that have lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is insane. By 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they are starving. When I was an English teacher, don't tell anybody this, I might get fired, I used to say to my afternoon students, if you are hungry, bring a little bag of Cheerios or bring a snack bar, bring an apple cut up, bring something, and please just eat it very quietly. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't get it on the floor, and put it away if my supervisor comes in. And it worked really well. And I know those kids really appreciated it, and I agree with you 100%. We can't really change the schedule to give them 10 minutes, but if we could make an allowance for the children to sometimes eat in class. I'm hypoglycemic myself, and I'm keenly aware of blood sugar issues. So I agree with you, and I think that some kind of provision needs to be made for all of the kids to have snacks sometime during the day.
Thank you.
Because what's the first thing a teacher does when they go on break? Enough said.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say to the parent, tell your kid to sign up for the band, because I was a band parent for 7 years. Okay, you're looking for all these schools, whatever, Edison's, band programs, these arts programs, the #1 in the country. Okay, you gotta get your kids signed up for that. All right. So, yeah, anybody else? First timers? Yes, first timer.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Varsha Chopra. I'm from 370 Westgate Drive. My son is in John Adams, 8th grade. He's been trying to get into accelerated level, short of 2 points in 6th grade, 7th grade. When I reached out to the supervisor, she said he's off 2 points. I really don't understand English being such a subjective subject. How can 2 points make a difference? And now, coming this year in 8th grade, we have the PSATs, where he would not make the criteria, and going to 9th grade, he would not get any electives for those 2 points. So I would really plead you all to consider even the average students making to accelerated, because they might lose on the electives and different aspects of learning. Thank you.
Thank you. That's what we're talking about when you're on a borderline, you know, teacher recommendation plays a role.
Yeah, the 10-point
Yeah.
recommendation last year.
Yeah, okay. So teacher recommendation shouldn't be like points, should be yes or no. That's what it, yeah. Once you're at a certain level, teachers, you know, we can talk about details, but that's the point. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Marvin from 109 Woodbury Road. So I have three fundamental questions after this meeting. One is a fundamental question of the criteria. And what I'm seeing is that we have people playing sports. There was a sports analogy. There is a rule of the game which is laid down before the game is played. And we are playing with the kids where they're done with the test and the rules are being changed later. So that's the first fundamental question. The second, obviously, is I didn't understand what has maths to do with biology. I think maths has to do with physics, chemistry. So that's the other question which I want to put to the board, that how come there can be a criteria for biology honors where you need to have the guy or the girl be on maths honors and English honors. The third one, I think most of the guys in the board meeting, was about the way our schools are crowded, which I understand it's a CapEx subject. And that's where I feel that the board should put more time to it, because if a CapEx subject is being discussed, because CapEx is you need funds, you need time to put all those infrastructure in place. If those subjects are not being discussed well in advance, there is no research done on it, how the population is coming, what is all that is happening, I can wonder why we are in the situation of the rubrics, because I think I would request the board that when the CapEx subjects, which is 5 years, 6 years, you can make in advance that, okay, this is how the Edison Township's demography is changing. And if those decisions are not being done, I know why we are in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to add on that, you know, Mr. Saxton touched on this. That's the long-range facility plan. That's what we're going to look at overcrowding, all right? So unfortunately, not a lot of people showed up yesterday, but the long-range facility plan going to put on the website. You can look at it. We're going to address the capacity issue here, all right? But I don't think the rubric was put it in to address the capacity issue. It's you know, every student, they're in a classroom in our school. We need to educate them. Okay, so I don't think the rubric is directly linked with the capacity.
No, that was a different question.
Okay. All right. We have any other first timers? Yes.
Bill Brunner, 215 Loring Avenue. By the way, people at the dais, I wish you would get a little closer to those microphones. Some of you have very soft voices and they're hard to hear. The introduction of cricket to the athletic program, is that going to be in gym or after school?
It's embedded in the curriculum now, but the league that we're talking about is a team concept, club concept, and it's going to be after school.
But initially, you're going to do it in gym program?
It's incorporated in the physical education curriculum already.
In some schools.
Okay, because whether it's it's going to be a fall sport, there just isn't the availability. Oh, by the way, is it going to be in both high schools or just JP?
Both high schools.
And how about the middle schools?
Yes.
Okay, because some of those schools don't have the open space to include. Edison High School is very challenged for practice facilities for their fall sports as it is now. Heaven only knows where they would put another sport. And of course, as a reminder, the sport cricket is not played in high schools in this country. So, you know, there's no varsity program that they can play against other schools and so on. But anyway, I'm taking personal objection to one statement that the lady made, one of the folks up there. She made a statement in her dissertation that English is irrelevant. Those are her exact words. Now, I'm sure she didn't mean it the way it came out. But doggone it, this is America. And somebody wants to tell me that English is irrelevant, I guess I'm in the wrong place. Recently, the New Jersey Department of Education did a study of all high schools, middle schools, grammar schools, and they rated them. And the rating system was based on test scores, graduation rates, chronic absenteeism, and progress in English. There were one or two other things also. And the public school ratings, anybody who got a 50% rating was average. And I just looked at all the schools in North Edison versus all the schools in South Edison. And just as the people in the real estate business have been saying all along, if you can afford to live in North Edison, do so because the schools are better. And the test results that the New Jersey Department of Education came up with points that out dramatically. Some of the schools in the South, such as Lindenau, almost fell off the chart on the downward side. I wonder if it would be possible, and I know you've done this on an individual basis, but let's take Lindenau for an example. It's so far below every other school. Would you consider, and I know this is going to sound like I'm picking on teachers, but I'm really not, because it affects the principals too. Would you consider, for instance, putting a well-established, experienced principal in that school and not just keep putting new people in, I'm going to use the term off the street, but just young, new people who are wet behind the ears as far as being a principal goes. Dr. O'Malley had the wonderful idea of just firing principals that didn't work out. That didn't work. Their replacements weren't much better. Also, and this is where the controversy would come in, if you could take the teaching staff at Lindenau, and I know I'm picking on them, but it's not, it sounds like that, but I don't think it is. Take them and space them around North Edison. 3 or 4 here, 3 or 4 there. There's 5 schools in North Edison, 6 elementary schools in the South. Corresponding number of teachers brought from that school down to Lindenau, and try it for a year. You've got time to do it for next year. Just try it and see if that would pick up the scores. Because you see, some people get very complacent when they work in the same place for year after year after year. And they're not stimulated necessarily. So this might help. Just try it for a year. If it doesn't work and the test results are still the same, then we know that it's the demographics of the area, which everybody's going to say that's what it is. They're going to say the demographics in the north end of town produce better students against the South.
Mr. Bruner, that's been done.
Only on an individual basis. I'm talking about take the entire staff.
You better let him finish, yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, taking the entire staff is not really practical.
Why?
Because you would also then be, you know, going back about 30 years, Dr. Kresge did that to Edison. He took the entire staff, JP, Herbert Hoover, he mixed everybody up in the district, and it caused such incredible chaos. And teachers were so upset. It was a very disruptive couple of years here when that happened. And I do know that teachers have been changed, and I can think of several really top-notch teachers that have been sent to Linda now. It's just going to take time. Our principal is brand new this year, so, you know.
And that would be a place to start, too. Instead of taking a brand-new,
No,
fresh
okay.
off the boat principal, get an experienced principal from one of the other schools and put them in there. I'm talking about a one-year experiment, and nothing's impossible. Nothing is impossible.
I think a
Just
better
go.
idea would be get rid of your superintendent after next year. And that'll make a difference.
So the way things are going, the way things are going now, Mr. Sexton, you might be here for quite a few years. Thank you very much.
All right, so I just want to comment on this. I don't think picking up on Linda and our staff is fair. You know, we have the same curriculum. They follow the same. You know, everything is followed the same training. All right, staff development. The score that you saw, that was last year's score. Okay, the principal came in this year. If you want to link those two, they're not directly linked, and you know, those are good suggestions to swapping teachers, but I don't think that's going to solve the problem. And picking on Linda Nell's staff is really not fair. They're all working hard. You know, they're probably working even harder than the other schools because, you know, they know the demographic in there. We actually have more programs in the schools, and we're going to continue to look into how we can, you know, boost the score up. But yeah, the fact is their score was low, but we're going to look into boosting the scores. But, you know, just picking on the Linda Nell staff is really not fair. I just want to make a comment. Yes.
I appreciate. Sorry. I appreciate you all for coming tonight, and it was very eye-opening. I was elected to the board this year. This is the first year I've been on. I was on the curriculum committee. As a board member, I feel strongly about reaching out to the people that the district has hired and having them come to us with an explanation of truly what they deem necessary. It's very important for us to have some form of rules, basics for doing things. I taught for many years. I was at the other end of the gamut, but there was still things that the children had to achieve in order to progress. When we reached out and when we questioned, and Shannon has been unbelievable with her knowledge and sharing, but at the same time, we need to rely on the knowledge of the people that are actually teaching these courses. As Beth had explained, I never realized the difference in the level of teaching from that high biology class up to the super honors class. And I just thank God that I never had to take that. But at the same time, your children, and I'm sure all your children that are sitting here, are probably going to be the children that are in these biology honors classes. It's just, I'm sure it's fear of the unknown because the criteria has changed. But you should never worry about the criteria, and I know your children will, and I know you are. I had 3 children, and I know what it's like, that fear of an unknown, of knowing what's going to happen to my child next year. But we have to be able to rely on the people that know the subject matter. Now, yes, do they have to be experts in Macbeth? No, my daughter read the Cliff Notes. But the idea of it is you be able to delve into any material, regardless if it's biology, chemistry, physics, or anything. You're able to just delve into material with almost no assistance at this honors level. They expect these children to just pick up the book, go home, read it all, and then be able to explode with knowledge. Well, how can you truly explode with knowledge that you've just consumed yourself if you don't have that high quality of reading and comprehending no matter what it is you're reading? And yeah, you may not like Macbeth. It may be very difficult. But if you're at that level, and I assume, and I guess I shouldn't assume, that every one of your children in here probably can do it, and you're just worried about it. They may not like it, but I'm sure they're at that high level of being able to conquer whatever is asked of them. And I truly commend Ms. Gulick for putting up with us as much as she has. She was going to see us almost every day for the last month or so, to be honest with you, because she is willing to sit down with us and try to come up with something. And she has made a number of changes for us that you may not have even seen yet on the website or wherever you look at it, the portal or whatever thing on that computer. But she also needs to rely on her supervisors and her teachers. She may not have taken biology honors herself. She needs to talk to the people that are there doing the teaching and being able to do it best. And we need to have that understanding because our schools are rated high. Our expectations are going through the roof, and they want your kids to go through the roof with them. So yes, we will sit down again. Using the PSAT 8-9 this year is a new criteria, but we will get through it, and we will come to an understanding. And please let your children know that you are so confident of them, they will succeed regardless of how many meetings we have here. And I thank you for coming. I wish you were here every month. And I'll see you Monday night.
All right. Well said. Anybody else? Yes. For any first-timers? Any first-timers? Okay? Yes, first-timer. Okay. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Murthy Taminidi, and I live in 11 Alexis Lane. I think most of the parents' concern is if their kids are not in honors, they won't be able to take the AP exam. I mean, they need to be in honors to take AP exam?
Need to be in AP.
Not necessarily. You can study the AP yourself.
But they can do, right?
Yeah.
No, but I think most of the kids, they're saying, I mean, unless they are in honors, they're not allowed to take AP exam.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's the main concern. If they're not in honors, I think. Okay. If that, I mean, that's.
I don't think so because okay. my kids did not take a lot of classes. He took the AP tests.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main concern, I guess. I mean, because a lot of people doesn't know. Everybody thinks.
Talk to the counselor. Talk to the guidance counselor.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if they're in the regular class, I think the school covers, I think, 80% of the syllabus, I guess. They can study on their own, right? I mean,
yes.
Is that,
yes.
Okay. That's good then. I mean, it's not.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other first timers? Yes, first timer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Parimala Nagarajan from 92 Calvert Avenue East. Yeah, my son is in 8th grade, Woodrow Wilson. Yeah. The major concern, I mean, even though my son is in 8th grade, one thing which I want to highlight, which Shannon also brought it to the attention, is the prognosis test. That's like a black box. Nobody knows, you know, if someone is not, if someone is not making the honors, in 6th grade, right? Basically, no one knows. When we go and talk to the supervisor, they just say, oh, they missed on prognosis test. Well, what is that? I mean, everybody need to know exactly how it's graded and what they missed, basically. I mean, they don't share the grades, or they don't give us enough information of what they missed in that. And once you miss it, that's it, the boat is gone. I mean, that's one thing which I really want to bring it up. Even though my son is in 8th grade, I want the kids who is in Edison, who is in elementary school right now, they need to get what they deserve. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you. And another one.
Yes.
I would like to know what's the next steps after this. I mean, what's the plan that you're going to do it, and how you're going to communicate it, or even if you're having a meeting on Monday, are you going to send us an update to the people who are here? So we need to know what's the next steps that you're going to do, and what's the timeline that you're going to take in order to fix this. Yeah, if someone can summarize it, that will be really helpful.
So I think that because Mr. Gulick put this thing on the PowerPoint. I don't know how many of you actually remembered it. Okay, so I think put on a website is probably a good suggestion. But keep in mind, this is not the final. We're still discussing it. This is what we talked today. Okay, so when you go home, sit in your living room, you can open up a computer and absorb it. Okay, and there'll be. Your comments were well taken. There'll be more discussions with the committee to see if additional things can be incorporated to make it even better. But you will see a lot of changes have been made. I don't think you remembered. So we'll post it, but keep in mind that's not the final. All right. Do not let your child think, okay, this is the end of the world. No, could be still slight changes made. With this version versus the one is coming up on Monday, or possibly if we can't, work something out, there'll be something on next month. But we need to get this thing out. The kids needs to be, a place in the classes they need to be. So we'll do whatever. We'll do our best to get it done quickly. All right. Okay. All right. Any other first timers? All right. Okay. No first timers. Any second timers who want to add whatever they didn't speak. Anyone, anything new that has not been covered.
I just wanted to summarize because the board
Name,
member
address,
over there.
please again.
Anusha, 154 Linda Lane. I just wanted to summarize because the board member over there wanted to know what we wanted. Stop linking biology honors with chemistry. So whether the student doesn't do biology honors because he's not met the criteria or because by choice, the student should be able to do chemistry and physics honors because they're not really related. And the second thing is in terms of communication, JP Stevens had an open night where a person, I think the principal or somebody went over a slideshow, and in that they could have communicated to all of the parents who were there that, this is the new criteria, then we would have all woken up. But they didn't do that. They communicated last year's criteria, and then suddenly somebody looks up online and these things start circulating and there's panic. WhatsApp groups have thousands of messages and here we are. So in terms of communication, when you have open nights, that's the chance when parents get to, actually come to terms with what's expected. You should at least communicate to them in, what is going to happen.
Points taken.
I just want to.
Any second timers? Oh. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry. after. Sorry.
I think in terms of the suggestions, my suggestion is...
Name address again?
Oh, sorry. Padmaja Chinta, 4102 Springbrook Drive. So my suggestion is to please consider not linking science honors to English honors or to math honors. Okay. Consider honors for that subject to be based only on the grades in that subject. So science honors should be based on grades in science. So math honors should be based on grades in maths and whatever else other criteria related to that subject itself. I also wanted to address one comment. I don't know if the gentleman in the check shirt was referring to me, or the comment about English being not relevant. I don't know if I said that, but if I said that, that is not what I meant. What I meant was highest level of proficiency in English is not needed or required to highest level of proficiency in science. I'm not saying English is not relevant. We all know English is relevant.
Thank you.
Any other second timers? Okay.
Prashant Joshi, 4 Utica Road. Just want to comment over here is this not only about honors, okay? So it's about how the middle school kid go to high school. There's a path for him or her to progress throughout the high school. That's the point here. So I'm sorry if you're thinking this is just about the honors. This is not, right? 8 and 9, P-side 8 and 9, keep putting that criteria, and then there is no path in high school to that kid to move up. That's the problem. And yes, there are educators who have different opinion how things work. So one educator may say, like we heard, that English is necessary for honors science. Another educator with the research says it's not. The practical, like I come from a vernacular medium. Till age of 16, I know only one language. But I succeeded in science. I completed my computer science engineering and everything else as English as a third language. So I don't think so. It's my personal opinion. That should be the right opinion. I don't know. But what point over here is that two things. One is don't link these things, because in practical and when we look into the office and every other environment, we don't link like that. If the person is good in one thing, we use that for that purpose. So let kid grow whatever he or she likes in that. And second thing, make it transparent and have them a choice. That's all it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other second timers? Any? Okay, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, get to the microphone. Name, address, and please.
Yeah, so I'm Sarita Chintawar and I stay at 61 Mount Pleasant Avenue. So today I got a letter from my kids' school about jams and how they introduce the recess and they can have the water bottles with them. So I'm very happy about that, because summer is coming and they're dehydrated and not able to drink water for 4 hours is really very bad. And I feel that should be introduced even in high school, because I feel my son, whole day they don't drink any water and it affects them, their health finally. I feel like that because they're not taking in enough water, and that's the reason we have obesity and so many health problems in teenagers now. So I think more interest should be shown towards healthy kids and happy kids than just putting pressure on them to just succeed in everything and putting unnecessary restrictions and guidelines and all. I feel like that. So, but I even wrote an appreciative email to the principal. That's what I want to tell you.
Okay, thank you very much. Finally, something positive. Okay, any other second timers? All right, you. Okay. Oh, you're first timer. I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I have a little sore throat. Happy Women's History Month for all the women here. My name is Shakila Merchant, and I'm from 248 West Locust Avenue. I really enjoyed all these conversations we had today. It was very meaningful. I do not want to be redundant, speaking the same thing again and again. I just want to say I have an 8th grader and I have a 10th grader. And when my daughter went to the 9th grade, as she was English honors, so she was automatically a social studies honors. And she had the nightmare of her life, because she's good at math, she wants to be an engineer, but she studied all her 9th grade doing social studies. She would be up till 1 o'clock, and I would say, what are you doing? You have a math quiz tomorrow. No, mommy, I have to finish my social studies. And then she became AP in social studies, where she's really good at math. And so my bottom line suggestion is, why are we grouping English honors with social studies honors? I do agree, and I consider being an educator myself, and I have gone through thousands of students, and they succeed more in life if they have English as a basic, because communication skills is very critical in life. So English honors connected with science and math is okay for me as a parent, but connected with social studies probably is a little more too much for them. But English as a criteria, because I do want my kids to excel in life. And I think life skills are important, and English honors, if they are in English honors and in science and math, I think that's going to do good to them. Because there are many students who are 4.0 GPA, get a hard time getting jobs because they couldn't write a good essay because their English was not good. So things have changed in life, and most of us parents, when we studied, probably we were all, maybe English was not our first language. We survived, but things are changing. Job market is changing. We should all think about that as well. So just my 2 cents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the comment is I want to make is you guys know that your children better, right? If your children are actually struggling in these honor classes, in these AP classes, maybe you should, the right decision is tell your kid to drop to a level down. You know, there's no need to push the kids to get into stress and everything. Just like you said, their health, you know, is most important to them. They're in a grade, all right? So just want to add on top of that. All right, any other comments? See none? We'll move on.
Jerry, can
Yeah,
I just
sorry.
say one last comment on that? I totally agree with one of the parents who said that we need to communicate this much earlier. You know, I think P said was not introduced, not even brought up last summer, and all the board member only knows that it's going to be used in rubric closing to the end of the last year. And I know we approved the first rubric in February based on the fact that we were guaranteed that the same number of students, same percentage of the students are going to be moved into the honor class. But of course, none of us have an 8th grader, so the only way we know is either ask the administration to give us the data, the distribution data of the PSAT results, or we can hear it from you guys, the parents. You guys have the most first-hand information. So I do really appreciate your input and your coming out here today and express your concern. We, the board, should work as a link between the community and the parents and the school. And I wanted to say that we're going to try our best to convey your concerns to the administration. We're going to try our best to work out this grouping criteria. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. See none. Let's move on. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
A lot of your concerns, you know, I do understand, and I've listened to a lot of people speak about this issue in various different ways, but I wanted to...
Can't hear you.
Oh, I wanted to thank Deborah for working with the CTC committee and also all the hard work that the CTC committee has put into this. So a lot of my concerns were already, you know, we've already addressed and discussed, but there was one thing that I wanted to point out, which is there's a difference always between the Edison High numbers and the J.P. Stevens numbers. And the more challenging we make this rubric and the stricter we create this rubric, you're just increasing that difference. I was just looking at the numbers for last year versus the projected numbers for this coming year, and there's already a difference that I see. And I think going forward, if we don't have a better system, keeping in mind the demographics of differences between our two schools, the number of kids that qualify for the honors in JP and Edison High is just going to keep getting bigger. So you're just keeping increasing the difference between Edison High versus the students in JP. So that's something else that I think when we create another rubric, whether it's this year, in the future, that's another factor that we need to consider. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Oh, okay.
Arvind from 109 Woodbury Road. So what I want to summarize is that as we have messed up with the rubric in the 75% of the school time gone, we should give the advantage to the kids and make the rubric very lenient so that the kids, when they got into the exams or any of those criteria which they never knew what the rules were, they should be given the advantage for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's move on. Dan? We are going to the closed session. Yes, Dan.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding student matters, board policies, superintendent search, Oprah request, litigation brought on by former employees, shared services agreement, construction litigation, ETEA grievances and personnel matters, New Jersey School Board Association membership, and grouping procedures. Under personnel, we'll be discussing resignations and terminations, retirements, appointments, leaves of absences, changes of status, longevity, substitute staff, elementary literacy and math academy, elementary family math night, learning leaders for Title II, extended school year, salary adjustments for professional staff, co-curricular appointments, coaching appointments, and job descriptions. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
All right, can I have a motion? Okay, Mrs. Conway, Mrs. Maroney.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
All right, so we don't expect to come back, so, good night. All right, you guys go home, we'll go back to the room.